What's happening, everybody? BassMountain here, and it's Friday, so it's time for another cook-up. See what we can make. So I don't really know what I'm going to make today, but I do know that I want something a little funky, something a little upbeat. Something kind of like that, I think. Now I want to make a second pass, but I'm going to change the last chord, and I might make the phrasing about half as long. I might like that a little bit more. Let's see. Mess that up a little bit, but we can fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it. I like that. I might like it more than the first one. Yeah, I think I like this new one more. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to try to find a nice like synth to play those chords. I love the way the Wurlitzer sounds, but I think I'm going for more of like a future soul vibe on this one. So let's see if we can make that happen. I haven't tried recording video and using Omnisphere at the same time. So we'll see what happens to my computer here. It's kind of cool. But I want like a wob, wob, wob. Pretty harsh. I like that sound. Now let's add a pad to this. I don't want to use Omnisphere again. I like to switch it up. I like to kind of just dive into the different plugins, different VSTs, and see what kind of sounds you can just kind of come up with. What might have some cool pads? See what FabFilter 1 has. I don't always love these sounds, but I don't remember checking out these pads much. Flawless. I like the sound of Flawless. Now, before we kind of preview some sounds, we got to turn this MIDI roll here into a nice pad type of vibe. So we can't have all these stabs here. We got to make them all legato. So to do that, I'm just going to leave the first note of each chord. Delete everything else. And then Control A to select all. Hit this legato button. Boom, you've got yourself some nice held out block chords. Oh, I messed that up though. This one is going to need to go down. No, this one. I'm going to need that to go down to F sharp. Bloop. So my chords are working now, but I do not like this pad sound. Maybe for like some video game music or something. Not for this though. No, Fab Filter 1 might not be the go-to for today. No. Some cool sounds. Some cool sounds. Not for this vibe, though. Not for this. What else can we try out? I wish I still had hybrid. I had hybrid on my laptop on my MacBook, but that has since died. I got hybrid when I got my MPK Mini by Kai, and I still have the key. I still have my login information. It's not showing up anymore. I love that hybrid plugin. It had so many awesome sounds. You could tweak everything, make it really cool. Some awesome moving synth type of presets. But hey, we gotta use what we've got, right? And I've got Contact. So something you can do to make your pads a little bit nicer is clean up the chords. Don't have so many voicings in there. We already have all those voicings in the synth line that I've got going on. I might keep that Wurlitzer as an extra little like additional timbre going on top. But let's go through the chords that I'm using because I don't really do that often. And if you're interested, it might be kind of cool. Throw them in your own project, toy around with them, see what's going on. So let me switch over to my whirly so that you can kind of hear the sounds that I'm using. So my first chord, it's A minor 9, or you can think of it as a C major 7 over A, but it's really just an A minor 9. And then I drop my 7, my flat 7 from the A minor down a half step to turn it to a 6. A minor 6, add 9. And then I go to a G minor 7. And then the first time through the chord progression, I throw in a D minor 9. I love my extensions, you know? Then I go back through the same progression for those first 3 chords, the A minor 9 to A minor 6, add 9. And then I go down to my G minor 9. I think I said G minor 7 earlier. It's a G minor 9. And then the last time through, I actually kind of resolve it to an F major 7, add 9. And like I said, I love my extensions. I love adding 9s to it. Just makes it like adding a 7 makes it jazzy. Adding a 9, it's like that meme with Winnie the Pooh, and it starts out as just Pooh. I'll probably throw it up on the screen. But it's just like that meme. You add 7s, and it's like, oh, you're a little sophisticated. You add 9s, and it's like, this is jazz. But it's really, it's just music, man. There's only 12 notes, so you can just add those together however you want. I try to explain that to my students all the time because music is intimidating to a lot of people. And don't get me wrong, there is a vast amount of creativity and some wild stuff that people create that I can't wrap my brain around. But in terms of Western music, which is what, 90% of us deal with, there's only 12 notes. That's all there is. There's 12 notes. And then if you hit one that's wrong, there's probably a correct one up or down. And if you hit it a wrong note and then you repeat it, you're playing jazz. I know you can't see the left side of this here. That's okay. All I'm doing is cleaning it up. I took the lowest root out of my chords already because on my left hand, I was doubling the root down 2 octaves. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn the headphones off so the synthness doesn't overpower us. I'm going to highlight my roots from everything and bring them up an octave. Maybe I'll leave the D where it is, though, because it's already up a little bit higher. So I'm going to bring my roots up, and then I'm going to probably take my fifths out. I'll leave my fifths in. I'll take my thirds out. See what that sounds like. Keep these voicings from being so clustered. Instead of deleting, though, when it comes to the actual chords, I don't know what I'm going to use this synth for in the project down the road. maybe I make a B section and I switch some stuff around. So instead of deleting, you can do this in Ableton in the MIDI roll down here, or you can do it with tracks. If you just hit 0 on the numpad, you will deactivate whatever it is that's selected. So it bypasses any of the sound that it would produce, but it still leaves it in place in case you want to use it somewhere else later, or come back to it and change your mind about something. You don't have to redraw in anything or replay anything. So since these notes change, I'm actually going to take those out because I don't want that synth pad to have as much motion, and it's a pad, so the attack is going to be a little bit less. I could change that, but I want it to be nice and smooth and kind of creep in. So even if I were to leave the correct notes in, the timing wouldn't be right, and there would be just maybe like a half a second of some really gross um, fighting between the two notes, some tension there that I don't really want. Um, this might be enough to open it up some. Let's just listen to it and see. Oh, I'm also going to take everything up another octave, I think, for this pad. Nope. And I don't like this. Maybe it's the pad I don't like. Let's leave everything where it is. Fiddle with the pad some. I like crystals. Not those crystals. You know what? I like this. It's not technically a pad. So this is the hybrid keys from Contact. Usually one of my go-to Contact instruments, actually. It's pretty versatile, or versatile if you want to be fancy with it. Um, it's not really a pad because I'm using this infinity button to keep the notes ringing out. I think it's like some kind of extended reverb or possibly some type of delay. I'm not sure exactly what's behind this knob. And I'm taking the reverb down. I know that the infinity knob itself adds some type of reverb. You can still hear it ringing out in the background. And I left some delay on. But what happens if you have a lot of your synths or any instruments that are recorded, and this is not specific to Ableton, this is just music production in general. If you have a lot of different reverbs going on, and then you add another one on top of it, and then you have a different reverb on another track, when it comes down to mix time and mastering, especially, things get really muddy really fast. And I want to try to prevent as much of that mud from happening on the front end as possible because it's almost impossible to clean it up later on. So I'm going to leave this reverb off. I might send it through my reverb send channel later. I send a lot of the instruments through a reverb send. That way, everything that is like a melodic instrument has its own reverb. And then I'll have a secondary chain for my percussion, depending on the style that I'm going for. Have my hi-hats and different, higher frequency percussive instruments go through a reverb send of its own. That's usually a lot shorter, but for now, I'm going to keep the reverb completely off on the hybrid keys. We'll come back to this probably and do some more sound design with it. Maybe add some Sound Toys stuff on there. You guys know I love those plugins. But this will do for now. Before I start adding more stuff, I'm going to take out these roots from my Whirly, because the Wurlitzer that I'm leaving in is just to add more attack onto what the synth is already doing. And I'm going to go in EQ a lot of this down the road. But again, if you can spare some frequency room in different areas for other instruments in the front end, it's going to make the mixing a lot easier. I'm going to end up EQing a lot of those low roots out anyway. So might as well not create that frequency in the first place. That way you don't have to try to clean something up later. And possibly by cutting it higher to remove more of the low end, you might lose some of the frequencies that you want to keep on that lower mid range. And before I get any further, I'm going to save. This is a sneak peek into my save library. My default template for these videos is actually a remote teaching template that I use for my lessons because I have to use a different audio driver to have um, my sound kind of replicated so it can come out of my interface output as well as go straight into OBS, which is what I use to screen capture and have my camera capture as well. If you can see, I've got folders on folders with just dates on them for all these projects. Some of them are full blown projects that have been finished. Some of them are just like little snippet ideas that were going around in my head and I wanted to lay down just to have them there. Some of these are just different projects from practice sessions where I would pick a style that I wanted to get better at. You know, I have some trap songs in here, some lo-fi, some straight up jazz stuff. No EDM yet. You know, I used to make some dubstep back in the day, but no straight just like house EDM on here. CookUp. All right, so I got everything saved. That way I won't lose anything, and I can do some Control S's along the way in case I have a crash or something serious. So another quick tip for you guys. When you are working with adding your percussive elements into the song, make sure your kick pitch matches whatever you're working in. You start getting those lower frequencies and they don't line up, something's just going to sound off about your mix. You're not really going to know what it is. So I already tuned my kick here to an A, and we will start moving this around. So I've got my downbeats of the kicks here, and I leave those at full velocity because that's where I want to hit harder. And to make it feel a little bit more like a real drummer situation, for any of the offbeat kicks, I'm going to drag that clip volume down quite a bit because we're going to end up compressing this anyway. So when we compress it, it's going to bring those levels a little bit closer to each other. So you want to be fairly drastic about these clip changes before the compression happens. I made a little percussion line. Ended up going a lot deeper than I originally planned. Kick snare, got a snare roll, crash, some tambo, little shell shake, some percussion, a little doot, close hi-hat, open hi-hat. That's all I'll do for now. I might add a little bit more percussion later. But I want to add some bass first. And again, like always, I just want to get an idea down, something that I can work with and might spur a little bit more creativity and stuff. And I can always fix the tone down the road. So let's see what happens with this. Maybe I'll put an 808 on it. Okay, so I made a little 808 pattern. I switch up the kick a little bit. I think I like it, but this is what it turned into. I might change it, but this is what it turned into. Nothing too crazy. Some cool rhythms going on though. So let's see if we can start arranging a little bit of this, make a intro. That's what my workflow is usually like. Do you not want me to make music today? Do you want me to just hang out with you and only do that? I'll get like a chorus type of section going, and then I will strip it down, see what I like as far as an intro goes. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to group my MIDI tracks, name them MIDI, and then I'm going to actually freeze and flatten all of these. That way I can kind of mess around with the audio versions of these tracks. But I'm going to save the MIDIs because I might come back and rearrange some of the notes or take the same rhythms and use them as a B section. I don't like to delete those right away unless I know I'm not going to come back to them. And I don't know that yet. So I made 3 new tracks. Gonna rename them to match up with the instruments that they are. And then it's as easy as clicking, holding control, and then dragging and dropping them where they belong. Like that. And then I can mute this entire channel. It's frozen, so the plugins won't be bothering me in terms of CPU usage. So I just chopped up this last chord and I transposed it. Kind of like that. By now, you guys know that I like crystals, and I want a little bit of crystal action going on this intro. So what I'm going to do is on the pad channel, I want to add the crystallizer, but I don't want to get rid of the synth sound entirely. And I could use this mix knob and just blend more dry than wet. And let's see how that sounds. And that sounds pretty cool, but I want to have a little bit more control with my crystals. So what we can do is we can Control G our plugin to make an audio effect rack. Click this button over here to show the chain. Create a new chain, and we'll rename this dry. So this chain is unaffected by this the crystallizer. This chain, I'm going to bring my crystallizer all the way to wet. And now we have 2 separate channels within one track. One is completely dry and one has our effect on it, which means we can start to manipulate this effect without manipulating our dry sound at all. So one thing that I want to do for sure, add Pan Man. That way we have a floating type of effect with the crystal, make it seem a little bit more ethereal. Something pretty basic, just 2 bar, maybe 4 bar wide, width all the way up. And I want it to be a little bit behind the beat, so I'm going to add just a smidge of swing and see what that sounds like. A little too wide. And the crystals are a little too loud in comparison with our dry sound. So I'm just going to drop the volume on our chain, our wet chain. And I'm going to even actually make it 8 bars here. So there's a couple problems with this crystal effect. I like the way it sounds for most of this clip, but over here where we have this these cut chords and then we have some chord changes, the amount of attack and release, the length of the attack and then the length of the release of the crystallizer is kind of making this sound a little goofy. And I want there to be a hard cut. In addition to that, I don't want the crystals to be heard right at the beginning of our intro. So we're going to hit that A key to pull up our automation window, and we're just going to click the volume over here on the wet chain to make that the selected automation. See, it has chain volume, and I don't want to hear the automation at all until that second chord happens. So we're going to make a couple points, bring it over like that. And now at the intro, we only have our dry sound. Now, I also don't want the crystals to just pop right out of nowhere. So I'm going to add another point over here. That way, the crystals will be fully built by the second iteration of the phrase. I'm going to delete this point by just clicking on it. And now we have a slow ramp of volume into that second phrase. And I want to make the ramp a little bit smoother, not just linear. So I'm going to hold Alt to get this bend tool. And then while that blue line is highlighted, we can drag it down just a little bit and create a little bit of a velocity here. Let's add about 16 bars of a B section. This is where those MIDI chords that we had are going to come in handy. So let's unfreeze our Wurlitzer, drag it over to where that 16 bar B section will start, and we're going to allow that audio to come through from just the Wurlitzer. Remember, we saved these root notes at the bottom earlier by just hitting 0 to deactivate them instead of delete them. So now we can hit 0 again to bring them back. And I might change the second chord here. Let's make it an F major chord instead. Oh, still have my 808 activated. And of course, I'm going to add a 9 to it just because I like those 9s. I created a B section. I'm kind of pleased with it. Got some cool sounds. I think I'm going to add a little bit of some wah guitar over the top just to add a little bit of like a lead line type of deal, some type of melody.